Electricity is something most people never think about. Flip a switch and the lights come on, charge your phone, open your refrigerator, watch TV. Everything just works, but behind that convenience lies one of the most complex machines ever built. The US power grid stretches across thousands of miles. Power plants generate electricity, high-voltage transmission lines carry it across the country, substations reduce the voltage, local distribution lines finally deliver electricity to homes and businesses. Every second of every day, supply and demand must stay perfectly balanced. If that balance is lost, even for a few seconds, parts of the grid can fail. And sometimes one failure can trigger another, creating a dangerous chain reaction. This has happened before. In 2003, a massive blackout left over 50 million people without power across the northeastern United States and parts of Canada. That outage lasted only a couple of days. Now imagine something far worse. 30 days across the entire nation. The first few minutes would feel confusing. People would assume it was just another local outage. They would wait, check their phones, call the electric company, but nothing would work. Cell towers would begin losing power as backup batteries slowly drained. Internet service would disappear. Television stations would go off the air. Traffic lights would stop working. Major intersections would instantly become dangerous. Airports would delay or cancel flights. Subway systems would shut down. Elevators would trap thousands of people inside buildings. Gas stations would close because fuel pumps require electricity. Credit card systems would stop processing payments. Cash would suddenly become king. Panic buying would begin almost immediately. People would rush to supermarkets. Water, canned food, flashlights, batteries, anything left on the shelves would disappear within hours. By the second day, America would begin to change. Refrigerators and freezers would no longer keep food cold. Millions of families would realize that everything they stored was starting to spoil. Supermarkets would already be empty. Delivery trucks couldn't refill the shelves because fuel shortages would spread across the country. Without electricity, gas stations couldn't pump gasoline or diesel. Even emergency vehicles would struggle to refuel. Clean drinking water would become a serious concern. Many water treatment plants rely on electricity to operate. Without power, water pressure could drop dramatically, and in some places, clean water might stop flowing altogether. Hospitals would continue running on backup generators, but those generators weren't designed to run forever. Most hospitals only have enough fuel for a few days unless more fuel arrives. Doctors would face impossible decisions. Who receives life-saving equipment? Who must wait? For people who depend on medical devices at home, every hour without electricity could become a matter of life and death. As communication systems fail, rumors begin spreading faster than facts. Without reliable internet, television, or radio, fear grows. People no longer know what's happening, and when people don't have information, they often imagine the worst. Law enforcement would work around the clock, but with limited communication and exhausted officers, keeping order would become increasingly difficult. Communities would begin organizing neighborhood watches. Neighbors would rely on each other more than ever before. In times of crisis, cooperation often becomes just as important as survival. After 2 weeks, the damage would no longer be limited to homes. The entire economy would begin grinding to a halt. Banks would struggle to process transactions. ATMs would stop working. Stock markets would remain closed. Factories would shut down. Millions of workers would be unable to do their jobs. Businesses that depend on computers, internet access, and electronic payments would remain closed. Supply chains would collapse. Food, medicine, fuel, and essential supplies would become increasingly difficult to transport. Farmers might still grow crops, but getting those crops to stores would become a massive challenge. Meanwhile, government agencies would activate emergency response plans. The National Guard could be deployed in many states. Emergency shelters would open. Food and water distribution centers would be established. Priority would be given to hospitals, emergency responders, and critical infrastructure. Even with these efforts, helping more than 340 million people would be one of the largest logistical challenges in American history.